Alrighty. Do I hear myself echoing? Alrighty. I do. Oh, there we go. Gotta fix that. Alrighty, so real quick, we're going to start working on a map today using GIMP for the setup. So here's a set of tiles that we got that we're going to work with. There's a few more as well somewhere, but we'll get to all that. Let's just go ahead and get started here. Okay, so I'll kind of go over a little bit of the quick and easy things of what I'm doing for GIMP manipulation. So mouse wheel will scroll you up and down if there's anything to scroll, but if you hold control, zooms in and out. Very easy, very nice. The other thing is, if you click in middle mouse button and hold it down, you can move your stuff all around, which becomes very helpful for getting around as things get larger. A lot of planning for the map making comes into play here with regard to the dimensions, so how big we want it to be, and then ultimately when we're sizing it back down for, fitting into the most optimal path. So best way to do that is the old trusty calculator, and I'll bring this over here so everyone can see. So we take our estimate. Let's say we want this to be 200 by 200 foot map. It's 200, which translates into, divided by 5, for 5 foot squares, 40 squares by 40 squares. Now we have to know our pixel amount. In this particular case, all of these tiles are 140 by 140, and so all we have to do with that is multiply that by our pixel count. That gives us our exact pixel dimensions. So once we've got that calculated out, we can go up to image and canvas size. It's important to note that the canvas size controls how large the entire drawing will be, and not just the particular layer that we have selected. Alright, and unfortunately my link is broken here, and it's just going to act all crazy like that. So let's unlock that, do it manually. And as you can see, this is where we're actually at right here. This is what the layers are. That's visible. This is where they fall within our new giant canvas size, and we can move this all around. Doesn't really matter for our intents and purposes at this time, so we just want to resize the canvas, get us a nice big area to play with. And as you can see, the background area is now wide open, so we'll zoom out. Once again, if we are zoomed in, you can click and hold middle mouse and move around quickly. The next step to getting the tile set laid out would be to, hello, by the way, add our grid, which is going to help us, place the tiles correctly. Alright, and of course enable snap to grid. So that way we'll go ahead and use this tool. This is the move layer tool, and now that it's snap to grid, you can see sort of, well, let's just zoom in a little bit. You can kind of see it will fall right in place. Like there's no real good middle ground. It makes it a little harder to offset, but makes it very easy to lock to the grid there. And So that's our first little piece. I'm going to throw it over there for now. And we can go ahead and close that for the time being. Alright, so there we go. The next real thing is, as far as picking your map, is just map design choice. What exactly do we want? So let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of a temple kind of feel. Let's say, let's find a nice hallway to enter. This piece looks like a good hallway piece. So first thing we do is we're going to go ahead and take this and drag it straight over into here. This is where our layers are. And now that it's been added as a layer, we'll come back over here and you can see that. Since we're still on the move tool, we'll be able to drag that around wherever we want. So maybe it's just force of habit, but I like to start my dungeons on the left side. You could technically start it over on the right. Wherever you'd like to do that it's really up to you. So there's our main entrance way. The next thing we want to do is kind of think how we want to fit that in and what directions we want to move. So alright, let's start us off with something like this. We'll make a nice open hallway area. And you can, of course, line all of your pieces up to match exactly. Sometimes you want to shrink them down a little bit. It doesn't hurt to move them over top of another piece. One thing we'll note real quick, and this is a good segue into layering, is as you can see here, this edge is a bit rounded, whereas these are very solid squares. So as we move this over, the solid squares take over. So let's say we want to keep that edging. All we would have to do is come over here and say, well, this layer is on top. We will drag it down below, and now you see the corner edging of this tile is now in charge and overlaying on this one. It's still there, just hidden behind there. So we get the nice little edged corners there that we were expecting. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, perfect. And that is essentially all of our layering stuff. Anytime you want one piece to overlap another, you can simply move the layering through here. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit here. So yeah, I started us off with this piece, and I may or may not use it, but for now it's just cluttering up things. So as you can see, as I click to move it over here, it will highlight gray. So this is the piece that I know we're working with, and I just need to get rid of it for now. So we'll come and click, drag it down to the garbage can. If you ever delete something that you're worried about and you want that back, the shortcut key for undo is always Control Z, and of course classic Control Y to redo the delete. Let's see, what do we got now? We want to expand on this. I like this circular piece, and we'll make this a little symmetrical here. Let's go ahead and throw in 2 of those. And so for the first one, we'll attach that on up here. Pop it down a little bit. And then for this layer, so obviously it doesn't just fit there, so we need the rotation tool. And the rotation tool only applies to the layer that you're currently selected on. So over here, as you can see, this is grayed, and even though I clicked up here somewhere, the rotation selects the layer that we're working with. Keep that in mind so you don't go accidentally rotating a layer you don't need. In this particular case, I know the angle is a full rotation. We can rotate this way, this way. It's 180 to get it all the way around. You can manually type that, but you can also use the slider to get it rotated. And voila, there it is. So let's go ahead and move that in place. Perfect. Okay. so far so good. Let's take a look at what else we got. We can add something interesting here. There we are. Lots of columns. I'm sure we could add some more effects to this later. We'll do some detail highlighting. Again, with the same thing, like this hallway to me feels a little long. We've kind of shortened it up everywhere. We'll just squeeze that on down and make it very pointed straight into it. That looks fine. This looks like a good way to cap out this quick little dungeon here. So throw this over here and rotate that. Now we'll do 90 degrees, and as you can see, you can kind of see the outline as the bottom is here and then it's been rotated up here. Yeah, definitely. We got to shorten many hallways sometimes. Okay, so once again, this is a nice square piece, and we want to keep that angled edge. So check, here's where the last piece was, and we'll just bump that down. And so now we keep the angled edge. So we've kind of got our basic layout here, and this is real good. I like where everything is currently. So as you can see, your layers start building up. Can get a bit hectic if we were to keep adding like I'm about to do. So what we would want to do in this particular case is go ahead and we'll just merge all of them down real quick. So we come in here, merge visible layers, and done. And now this is one giant layer within our canvas area once again. And of course, as you can see, we can move the whole thing, put it wherever we want. So let's kind of center that a little more, maybe up there. There we go. Or there's a lot of space down here. Good. All right, so let's go ahead and add maybe some sort of secret passage. Yeah, this is good. Throw that on in here. All right, so since it's underneath there, we'll bump it up so I can actually get to it. Let's pick up a nice. So here's where our path is, and that lines up about here. So, rooms. Honestly, I really like the style of rooms for this set. My personal favorite continues to remain the wild growth one, which I think we'll throw some of that on here in just a bit. So this would, in theory, be let's just say there's a secret passage here underneath this tile, and that lines up with this. Now, of course, in our main map, we don't want to put that in there because then it's stuck. And if you try to host that on your virtual tabletop, all your players are going to be like, "Oh, what's this fancy square right there?" So we'll leave that up to your better storytelling design, of course. So we have a small passage that kind of looks a little underground there. And let's do this. This will be a good little segue here. We'll take this. So right now this is a 4x4, and there really isn't a smaller example for this. So what we're going to want to do is shrink this. But we just want to shrink this without shrinking everything else. So we'll go into our layer settings here and scale the layer. So right now you can see it's 280. As we mentioned earlier, each one of these is 140 per square, and 280 is of course double, which gives us the 4 blocks that we have. So what we're going to want to do is go ahead and change this to 140, scale that, and now it's one little block. And of course we want our stairs going in the correct direction, so rotate time. And since that's below there, we'll move it above. And there we are. A nice... See, I didn't want the stairs sitting here. It kind of ruins and detracts from the darkness. So we kind of scaled it back a little bit just to show that there's something there coming in from who knows where. Let's find a nice piece. This will do. Actually, you know what? Let's expand out. So let's throw that in there. Move up and rotate. All right, and see, this is now upside down with the wider end here and the shorter end up there. So we want it to go the opposite way. Let's come in here and minus 90 that. Boom. Good to go. Kind of move that down. Maybe up a little bit more. We want to keep kind of the full shadow effect to make sure that this looks as though it is actually underground. And that's good. So let's find something else here to take us on. Yeah, nice little bend. There we are. Take a look. Maybe we can squeeze this down. No. Need this angled, so. Alright. Find a nice cap, a final piece to throw in here. Okay. You know what? This piece is perfect. It will also lend some to a bit of a change to demonstrate. So first we will need to rotate it, and that is once again the wrong way, so add that minus and rotate. So I want to keep this here, but at the same time I'm missing so much space here. Now I could of course leave it like this and I can move the whole thing down, but I believe for our goal here today we're going to demonstrate flipping this right here. Flip tool. I'll come down. Gotta hold control and boom, vertical flip. So that's exactly what we want. And while I know that this is underground, I always like to leave a little space between these so that way it's visually what we're going for. So let's move all this up one. There we go. And That looks real good. So we'll zoom out. I like the way that this has been set up, so we're going to go ahead once again and merge all of these down. Now that we got the whole map done, as this is close to the edge, we'll bump this down. It's always good to have a little bit of free space on the outside, I think. Personal preference, you of course can run it right up to the edge if you'd like. And I think I want to do one more little thing here. Yeah, alright, so we're going to add a small secret passage that connects this room with the pillar to this room with the pillar. And for that, we're going to jump back over here. And use one of these. And let's put that above. So, another easy trick too. We could obviously just drag this in several times, or we can just come here, duplicate the layer, and voila, done. So, and a rotate is in order. There we go. Let's go with this piece. Put that up. Gonna want to line this up exactly without going overboard. Let's see how this looks. Maybe this is actually a nice setup, and this should go down and down, and this should go down. All right, let's select the big picture and zoom in and take a look. Yeah, so as you can see now, here is where it would be. This would be a secret passage, and let's do that real quick. Duplicate. And rotate. Yeah, -90, perfect. And that lines up. So we could, of course, leave this as it is and just make the assumption that this is a gradual downward motion here. The other option is, of course, to throw on those little stairs tile once again. So let's do that. I like the idea of having a little bit of stairs. Yeah, right there works. And let's kind of zoom out a little. Get this to the matching set. And this one. Oh, well, guess I forgot this was 180, so we'll just double that. And perfect. So I think that looks good. Yeah, just graphical anomaly. So now that we've got that done, you know what? I just realized we have plenty of doors. We could really use a curtain. um, it would it could be excellent, like, or a tapestry, just some extra little flair to throw up around. We got a lot of pillars here, but not so much here. So I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and throw. Well, first let's take care of this. Merge all these. I like how that turned out. So put that up there. And well, see, we got a nice fallen pillar there. So let's make something. That's good. Duplicate. Yeah. All right. That's good. Yes, perfect. We're going to get some of these smash doors. These will be an excellent fit. Alright, so of course, as this is a large piece, we're going to go ahead and shrink this down. Oh, dreaded math, you curse me once again. So, to my calculator, and 700 by 140 is 5, which is so we're going to want to shrink that down to, let's just make it 3, see what that looks like. Ah, there we go, 420s. Let's just do it by 4, I think. 567 minor scale. Ah, giving me a hard time, man. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks just like what we want, so it fits in there. Let's go ahead and rotate this. Yeah, there, perfect. So it looks like somebody smashed the giant doorway right off of that. Oh, you're talking about the curtains. I would just say we could use it to cover up here, or like we have a small one that we would end up putting here. That would be our secret passage type deal. And find a nice, good mossy stone. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and scale that down. There we go. And I think that looks really good. Fits right in there. All right. So, under normal circumstances, this would be the perfect piece to, if we wanted to give away where our secret passage was. But I think instead we are not going to do that. Well, I don't know. Let's see how this looks. It kind of covers it up. Oh, what is that hidden away behind this giant pillar? Alright, yeah, I kind of like that. It's not too obvious, but at the same time, it's a good way to do it. Actually, hmm, and we're going to cheat here. Just make this 240. Let's see what that comes out as. Yeah, even better. Yeah, just a little bit of slight tweaking. And it's still there, just very subtly sticking out for any observant adventurers, which should be most of them. um, Alright, so next up, let's go ahead and add a little bit of doorways again, like some actual legit doors. Yeah, this is simple. Well, actually, no, I think I like this one a little better. Before we do that, let's go ahead and just, once again, merge all these down. It's getting a little carried away over there. And yeah, there we go. That fits nicely. Yeah, right in there. Okay. Now for a little bit of freehand. Let's just get this kinda, yeah, I think that's good. There, so now we have a nice even 4 pillars. Is there any accessories in here? No, okay. Alright, so in this particular case, I like the exact way that the height portion looks. It lines up very well, so we're going to unlock this and just make adjustments to the width. So scale that one more time. Oops, cancel that. Unlock it. Now this might be too much. No, I think let's look at it. That's good. I like it. And duplicate. And rotate. And merge down. Alright. So I think we got a nice little temple kind of area here. Sectioned out, doors and all. At this point, not so hidden secret area with all sorts of goodies, or monsters, of course, and a hidden passage, which who knows, maybe one of these doors is open, the other isn't. Tricks with the pillars. Come up with whatever you'd like for your imagination. Alright, so as a final step to essentially clean things up here, since we have all of this extra dead space, what we want to do is scale it down. And once again, this is going to be under the image and our canvas size. Like, we're going to first fit the canvas to the layers, so everything comes out exact. Now, of course, you can leave it just like this. There's no requirement to add any buffer around the outside, but again, I like having just a little bit of space. So what we're going to do is canvas size, and here we are. Now, when we're calculating out our canvas size, we want to add exactly one square, cancel that, one square around the outside edges for the whole thing. And so we know that each square is 140 pixels, so we're going to double that and basically break out our friend the calculator again, because large numbers drive me crazy. Let's see, so 4760 plus 280. That gives us the width size, and alright, and as a final measure, we will center this, puts our layer at the center of our canvas, and you can see the offset is 140, 140, which is exactly half, and resize. So you can see that we have added a nice little outside buffer to everything. Now, of course, we can just export the map exactly like this. In PNG format, there will just be open space, nothing will be back here. Let's say we want to keep it that way so we could later on modify this, which would be fine. We could just save it currently exactly as it is. However, for the final approach to making it tabletop ready, just as an example here, I will go ahead and export it real quick. And export. Default is fine. Anytime this bar takes a while, you know that the picture is going to be a very large size. And here it is in all its glory. And now, mind you, this blackness here is just that. It's simulated as part of the photo viewing thing. It's not what actually is happening, and I can demonstrate that as well in a moment. We can see everything's come out real nice. This is the final product as a PNG, and of note is 22 megs. You're probably not going to want to utilize that for your desktop sharing session, regardless of what tabletop software you use. Now, if you do plan on printing it out, you'll probably want to make adjustments again further. I'm not too savvy on that front, unfortunately. So what we would like to do, and we'll come down here now. We'll just open up Paint, and if we put this in here, well, give it a time to load. As you can see, the background is automatically white. So again, that is PNG will do that for you. It makes basically everything clear in the background as you have it. The process for which we're going to go ahead and add the background is a new layer. This is going to just, transparency is fine. The size and dimensions should automatically match the canvas size. So we'll hit OK. And now you notice, and we'll point this out real quick, these yellow dotted lines indicate the edge of where your layer is currently located. And when we select this layer, you can see it covers the entire map, top to bottom. And all we have to do once we've reached this point is come select our layer and die it. And oh no, where did the map go? It's just hidden behind the layer, which we got to drop down. Boom. And that creates the nice buffer around the edge, as well as, I believe it makes the shadowing look a little better. Just a personal opinion, of course. And once again, as a demonstration, we will export this as PNG. And you can see it definitely takes a little while there. And still, 22. It's quite large. So in order to get this to a nice tabletop friendly size without losing too much real quality, which shouldn't be too hard to do here, we'll go ahead and export as a JPEG. And I just always do 80. It gets it real shrunk down. See how fast that went this time? And here is our JPEG. As an example, it is 2 megs. And you can barely tell the difference, especially when you're just moving tokens around as an in a venture. I highly doubt you have anything to worry about as far as quality is concerned. It might be slightly more fuzzy, but at the end of the day, you're hardly going to be able to notice the difference. But running this through a tabletop simulator will definitely notice the difference. As an added bonus, we'll go over one last item here. In case you have a very difficult time even with a 2 meg file, we can of course shrink this down one last time and get it super compressed into a very small format. And the way we do that, image, scale image. Alright, so once again to my old friend the calculator. And this gets it down to exactly half the size, which if you remember, and from the beginning there, that the scale for every single block is 140 pixels. Half size would be 70. 70 works out really well as well. Roll20 utilizes each square unit as 70 pixels. So at a 70 by 70 pixel per square, it should import perfectly right into a Roll20 map. But in addition to that, by scaling it down, we're also going to get it to a very small size. And let's just go ahead and number 2 that. And here is our second side map. And as you can see, 700 KB. That is extremely small by comparison to our 23 meg original file. And just for comparison purposes, practically no loss of detail at this point. You can still see everything very clearly without any issues whatsoever. Everyone should be able to play on this. I believe that should cover getting you exactly where you want for a nice virtual tabletop session. Matching up, you got the same map, and just to go a little step further here, well, there we go. Over here is our 23 meg file, and over here is our tiny, super compressed JPEG. We are zoomed in way close, and there is definitely a very slight fuzz to it, but no noticeable difference between the two. And you should be good to use that without any problems. And that pretty much concludes throwing together a map through GIMP. We'll leave it at that for today. I appreciate tuning in and checking it out.